My name is Adam, and the memory of my sophomore year in college still haunts me. After freshman year, I was unlucky and didn't get a dorm, so I scrambled to find off campus housing. In short, I ended up in a co op, part of a three-house community that was near campus, but not exactly central. It wasn't ideal, but it was cheap, and with my bike, the extra travel time wasn't too bad. Most residents were young students like me, but there were a few exceptions, a couple of alumni, one or two TAs, and some older folks getting their degrees later in life. However, the person who immediately stood out to me was an older woman living in one of the other houses. From what I could tell, she seemed to be in her late 50s, though sometimes she looked a bit older. She had graying hair and walked with a noticeable limp, like she had some kind of back injury. She was extremely quiet, mostly kept to herself, and always had this blank, unreadable expression on her face. I guessed she had some connection to the university, maybe faculty or alumni, but no one explained, and I didn't dare ask. The first time I saw her do something strange was in our communal kitchen. It was already a bit weird, as the other two houses had their own kitchens, so I wasn't sure why she'd be hanging out in ours. She wasn't cooking, eating, or even talking to anyone. She just stood there, silent, while the rest of us, young students, were chatting loudly, making dinner, playing music. She didn't try to join in, she simply watched us with that vacant stare. A few times I caught her eye, and a part of me felt like she was watching me specifically, though I told myself that was unlikely. None of the others in the kitchen seemed to notice her presence either, which also felt a little creepy. Maybe they knew something I didn't. Later that week, I was doing homework in my room when I saw her again. I glanced out my bedroom window, and there she was, standing on the street, looking up at me. As if that wasn't strange enough, she wasn't even on the sidewalk, but right in the middle of the road. It was getting late, and it was quite cold, too. She must have been freezing out there. I couldn't tell if she was looking directly into my window or just generally at the house, but the feeling of being stared at, particularly at me, was palpable. For some reason, I decided to wave at her, trying to be friendly. The moment I did, I regretted it instantly. She didn't wave back. Instead, she suddenly jumped up and down a couple of times, as if incredibly excited, then turned and hurried towards one of the other houses, presumably hers. I felt a wave of nausea and fear. Not only had I acknowledged her, but I had confirmed she'd been watching my room the whole time, or at least now she knew which room was mine. That night, I asked my housemate Ben about the woman. Ben said she had always been there, and I should just try my best to ignore her, like everyone else did. I pressed for more details, but Ben genuinely didn't know anything, saying he was just repeating what someone had told him when he moved in. That didn't sit right with me, so I asked around until I got a slightly clearer, though still vague, answer. A senior in the house she lived in told me she was loosely affiliated with the university and was a bit kooky, but had no history of violence or aggression. I asked him why no one found her behavior as unsettling as I did, and he said they couldn't really control who lived there. That decision was up to the property manager, Mr. Davies. I wasn't fully satisfied with that answer, but there was nothing more I could do, so I tried to just block her out of my mind. But then it got worse. One night, I walked out of my room and nearly ran straight into her. She was standing right outside my door in the hallway. I literally jumped back. She startled me so badly. It was past midnight on a weeknight, so the house was mostly silent. She didn't say anything when she saw me, barely reacted at all. She just turned and walked away, as if I were the one who had intruded on her space. I won't go into every little detail, but there were several more occurrences like that one, where I would catch her lurking where she had no business being or doing something utterly inexplicable. Around that time, I lost my room key. All three houses had once been part of the same hotel, so the rooms still had individual locks and keys. It was a co-op, so most people left their doors unlocked, but I was someone who couldn't sleep comfortably knowing someone could just walk into my room. Losing my key was a big deal. Everyone had a spare, including me, but I was annoyed because I'd have to go make a copy, an extra hassle I didn't need at the time. A few nights later, I woke up randomly in the dead of night. At first, I wasn't sure why, but then I heard it. There was a soft, rhythmic bumping coming from inside my closet every 20 seconds or so. It sounded like something shifting behind the door, like something moving inside my closet. I'm not one to scare easily, and I'm definitely not one to be helpless in a dangerous situation. I was going to deal with this myself. I quietly got out of bed and took a deep breath. I slowly walked over to the closet, trying to keep my breathing under control. My heart was pounding. In one fluid motion, I ripped the closet door open and screamed like a madman. Just as I expected, the woman was in there. One of my ties was wrapped around her neck, and her eyes were wide open in a terrifying stare. She was holding a kitchen knife in her other hand. My scream must have startled her, because before I could fully react, she lunged at me with the knife outstretched. I screamed again, but this one wasn't pretend. It was a scream of pure terror. I wrestled her to the ground and was able to disarm her relatively easily given how frail and small she was. That didn't make the situation any less horrifying, though. She kicked, fought, and bit as I desperately tried to pin her down, screaming the whole time for help. I heard doors slam, followed by the sound of some housemates running down the hall. My friend Ben was the first to reach me, immediately helping me immobilize the woman. The two of us kept her pinned while someone else called the police. The rest of the night was a blur. The police got there quickly and arrested her on the spot. By that point, she had stopped screaming, but she refused to say anything, which was incredibly unsettling. The cops found my room key on her. Real big shocker there. A few weeks later, we finally got our answer about who she was. Apparently, she was the property manager, Mr. Davies' sister, whom he had been letting live there under the radar. She had severe mental health issues, and instead of getting her proper care, he had just essentially put her in one of the unoccupied rooms. I believe Mr. Davies was eventually arrested for negligence and a slew of other things, and rightfully so. Honestly, I blame him so much more for what happened than I blame her. If anything, I feel pity for her. But my pity doesn't erase the fact that she tried to kill me. I could have lost my life that night. I still have no idea why she seemed so fixated on me specifically, but I can only hope nothing like that ever happens to me again. I'm graduating soon and I'll definitely miss college, but I don't think I'll ever be able to look back at my time here without thinking about that terrifying night.